Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Linda and this is Beyond Brass. I've been playing around with the idea of doing a little bit different way of using our junk journal or junk envelopes to make a journal. I think most of us have done flippy floppy envelope journal things. Let me grab this. Oh, my missing bone folder. Hello. Helps if you clean your desk more often, Linda. Or put things away or something. I think all of us have done flippy floppies like this where we just glue envelopes to envelopes and come up with like a journal thing with spare paper just because. More spare paper. That's not actually part of the journal. That's part of the messy desk. But I was wondering, can I create just a journal cover using envelopes? I mean, obviously you can because all it is paper. So what I have is a very large stack of envelopes. You'll only need 3, not 2, 3, 3, 3, the other 3, 3. So you'll need 3 to get a cover that is, I think it's 8 inches. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 inches. And then the height of an envelope, which is usually about 8.5 in the US. I don't know if you have what we consider a legal size envelope in the UK, but that's what this would be. Now, there are some things that will need to be modified because the envelope folds and folds. So you have a big crease in it. If you do like I did and just glue it back to back, and I want to prevent that from being a thing. I want it to be a single cover with the 3 envelopes. So what I did is, well, we'll go through the process of how I did it. It's pretty obvious what I did. And then what I'm going to do in order to stabilize it and to keep this from being a crease is I have kit pages. I've picked out the ones that I think will work the best for the cover itself. And these are from Rach and Bella's new kit, that she just released yesterday, the couture kit. And of course I'm all over sewing. Like, that's probably one of my earliest loves is like I learned to sew when I was 9 years old. I think that this will be my cover image, like, and I want to do it, and this is where I need to kind of figure it out a little bit. This is the back side of the one envelope, but it will be covered with paper, but I want to maintain the window so that something can go underneath, whether it's my first journal pages underneath there and it's the image. This one I think I can cover, possibly, although it would be fun to leave that on the outside. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 3 envelopes. Doesn't matter if they are gnarly like this from when you open them. That's one of the nice things about what I did is that it doesn't, the look of the envelope is not important, and nor is the interior of the envelope. So I'm just going to, I don't know, just grab 3. I'm almost tempted to use craft envelopes because, oh my gosh. But the only reason that I'm kind of hesitating is craft envelopes. Like, that color is But see, if I could maintain that window as the front, that size is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So let's try to maintain this as our front. And we don't get these anymore because everything's paperless. This is from back when the CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, used to mail stuff to us. But they don't do that anymore. Which is sad because now we don't get these beautiful, like, craft envelopes in our mail anymore. This one's never been used, doesn't have a... So I'm going to save that for something different. And that one has a double, so I think I'll save that for, I don't know, something field notesy, which if I can get my kit together is going to be next. And then I've got this one as well. So let's start with this. So you'll need three, not two, 3 envelopes. It's like my fingers don't know what 3 is. And what I did is I pulled them apart at the side, like so. Trying to be really careful because you want to maintain the stability of what will be your back part. You could conceivably just use an X-Acto knife and cut it, like, at the seam. But I find when I try to do that, I don't. I watched Margaret at Seven Plaza go in with her X-Acto knife and cut seams, and I'm like, how on earth are you able to do that? I have never... I go in with an X-Acto knife, and unless I'm, like, holding it apart, I cut things I don't want to cut, and I don't cut things. It just never works for me. I marvel at her knife skills. One day maybe I will also have knife skills like that. You will need a ruler. Suppose I could have gone over supplies at the beginning, but and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these little flaps that are at the edge of each one of the envelopes, and because that's craft, I will probably keep all but the silliest of the bits. And I also cut off what is the top of the envelope because I don't need it. And it will give additional bulk that I don't need. And think of it that this is going to be the outer edge of your journal cover. So you definitely don't need that flap on there unless you want an odd-shaped journal cover. And then pull this little flap off. So now you have one envelope, like so. So we're going to consider this our front so that we can use this as our window on our front. So part 1. I'm sure somebody else has done this. I haven't seen any done like this exactly. I think Steph at Hilltop View Journals did something somewhat similar with one of hers, but it wasn't exactly the same. Hers was more like a flippy floppy, which is what most of us do when we're using envelopes, is use them as like flippy floppy journals. But I'm kind of continuing on with that idea of crafting in difficult times when we have absolutely no money. Like, we're strapped for cash, tariffs are through the roof. We want to create a journal and there's no funds. Like, it's kind of like making a stone bleed right now. But we're all getting junk mail. We get things that we don't want mailed to us, so we're accumulating all these envelopes. Well, we can make journal covers with these envelopes. So this will be the spine of the journal here. This will be the full front cover. We're going to have to address this here so that it's stable and won't go bendy as a journal cover, because that's not going to work, right? So, and here again, I think what I'm going to do is put that, think a little bit. So put it like this, so that I've got front cover here, like so. So this will go the opposite way. So just hang, yeah, that would work, because then it's going to bend. That's my spine. And then this needs to be solidified. So first off, I can use this as a window. So cover everything in here and glue that, I think. So this would be a cover, window and window. Do I want to do that? If I don't want to do that, then it's not important. Then I can just cover this and leave that and have window and window. Or use my little plain one, which is, oh, look at how much smaller that is. That's not going to work, because that's like, that would then limit my journal to the height of this envelope, which I don't want. That's too short. What? Oh, that's a... Pardon me while I think. I mean, I did a prototype and I was like, it will work like X. And now I'm like, well, do I want to maintain that window and have two windows on here and have that as a pocket? And like, let's start by, okay, so here's another thing that you can consider. This is your cover. If this was a journal page, you could leave this open and now it is a pocket. But because it's a journal page, you probably don't want to do that, right? Like, it would be strange, let's say strange, to have that as a journal cover. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover all of this so that it looks like how I want to cover it. So when you glue this down here, that can just go on as it is, no concern about how it goes and where it looks. You don't want bunching, so that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Once this is glued down, I don't need any paper under here unless I'm making this an envelope. So I don't need to put paper down first. I can glue this flat down much as I did here because I wasn't considering this being a pocket. So now what I would do is I would just blanket cover this, right? And then blanket cover that, keeping in mind if you want a window here. If you don't want a window here, you can like actually pull this plastic out and cover it straight because you don't need that envelope or that window. And you can, when you glue this back one, if you don't want to make this part into a pocket on there, you can pull the acetate out of here because it can be bunchy and then it doesn't glue down properly. So first things first, glue. So just regular glue stick, even though I hate it, and my Bearly Arts. So what I am going to do is put glue on the extent of one of the flaps, like so. Make sure that you get full coverage. And then I think I'm going to add additional glue around the outside edges to ensure the entire amount of the cover stays in place. Be really careful that it's square, that whatever you do is going to be like at the maximum amount of square. And that's one of the advantages to using a glue stick, is that you have a bit of time to wiggle things around and make sure that everything is maintaining. Use the little lines on your grid mat, and what you'll want to do is you'll want to make sure that the line continues like so. Otherwise, it could wind up that you have created a journal that's a little ski-whiffed, ski-whiffed. And that's actually the hardest part of this whole thing, is just making sure it's square. Now, what I want to do, okay, so this is front cover, that's spine. Boom. We have a front cover and half of a back cover. And I'll do some squaring up once I get all my, like, shall we say, fashion fabrics on. I think what I'll do is then put this down like so. So if I'm going to make this a I'm going to pull this off. Mostly so that it glues completely down. When I glue that, okay, let's have a look. Okay. Front cover, back cover. Okay, So before I glue this down, apparently I didn't need to, I had it upside down. Did not want to pull that window off. So let's pick a fabric to go on. Fabric. This is not fabric. This is paper. So I don't need a full bit of paper. I do need to get the little whitey bits off. And I can't cut straight, but that's, you know. And I just want to have a look at what will look nice inside that window. Yeah. So you have two options here. You can do just like plain like this so that it's not, so that you're not worrying about what it looks like, I guess I could say. So you just have like anything, just blank, and it's kind of like nothing. You're going to, I'm on mine, you can do yours different. It's going to be a pocket here, like so, and a big tag going in. So I have two things I need to keep in mind, is that whatever is in the background when the tag is pulled out needs to look good, and whatever is on the tag and goes in here needs to look good. So something like this would look really nice when the tag is pulled out. So that's an option. Or I can do it that it's just like blank or fairly plain. Oh, I like that too. Very much like that. This also gives the idea of the fact that it's going to be fairly sewing oriented. And that's upside down. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's so, okay, there we go. And this way as well, I don't think I need to worry so much about taking the white off the bottom. I'm going to do is fold that back like so, which is not where the window is, but it's pretty close. And I'm going to save this for later use. And then Well, that's obviously right where the where I need it to be. Oh, right. Wrong piece of paper. Beyond the fact that's a warped up mouse. Let's trim that white off. Like so. And then using my mat, cut that straight, and I may need to take a tiny bit off that. Poor lady, I cut her in half. Hope that didn't hurt too badly when I did that. Make sure all the little fiddly bits are glued down. Now I've strengthened a portion of this. I'm hoping if I put this under a mat that it will flatten out. I feel I didn't get that paper on properly, and that's why it's warping so badly. Glue all the edgy bits. And edgy bits. So, back and front, like so. Like so. I could yeah, no. I was thinking I could use that, but I don't want her. Could do it that way. Yeah. If you're doing this with just junk mail envelopes, as part of a money saving, I want to make a cover and I don't have anything, use what they sent you inside the junk mail, tear it into little pieces so all you've got are random wordy bits, and collage, create like a master board on your envelopes rather than using digitals. So you're still saving money and creating something, but you don't have to go to the expense of using a digital. So I'm going to put that on there like so. And hopefully that will hold a little bit. And then the other thing I'm going to do to reinforce this spine so that, or the envelope, so that it doesn't fold where the crease of the envelope normally would be. Boom, like so. Okay. Oh, and it's looking a lot straighter all of a sudden. I think putting this piece at the top helped flatten that so that it looks more like it's supposed to look instead of weird like it was looking. If you do this first, it's going to be super important that you get this part glued flush with that crease of the spine, because you're no longer going to be able to see where the crease is. And you have to put that fabric, or I keep saying fabric, I'm not sure why. Maybe because this is a sewing kit. I keep thinking fabric, and it's not. I'm also going to trim just the tiniest bit off of this side again. Because look at how even that is. Can you see that? Oh, no, because I'm off camera. That is definitely, if I put my ruler down like that, you can see that that is not a straight line. So that's a better straight line. For here, when I glue this on top of this, I'm only going to glue around the 3 edges of this, not all the edges. And I need a piece of acetate to go in there. Transparency film. I have boxes of this. I buy it at the thrift store whenever I see it, which isn't all the time. So I don't worry too much about what I do or don't need. So I just want my biggie scissors and a strip. And a strip. Gonna cut a little bit off that. If you're not able to find transparency film at a thrift store, which chances are you probably won't, you can buy it on Amazon. It can get expensive. Say packaging material. Packaging material works really, really well. The stuff you can, like these transparency films are a bit thicker. We'll go through a printer, some of them, so you can print on them and get interesting effects. I'm going to use the glue line that's on there. I'm using Bearly Arts. This won't work with a glue stick. Be really careful that you don't come too close to the edge, because you don't want your glue to bleed inside onto your acetate. You want to keep it off your acetate. So if you need to spread your glue out, go from the center to the outside, not from the outside to the center. so that your glue bleeds towards the outer edge of your acetate, not to the inside of your acetate. And then, so now that's front, that's back, that's spine, and I want to line that up with that. Make sure that that's not going to bleed inwards. Now the other thing you can do, just like to make sure that nothing catches on this window coming through, is you can take some washi tape, any washi tape. Ugly would be preferable if you're using something you hate, because realistically you want to use something you're never going to see this, so don't use your prettiest washi tape or your most expensive. Regular standard, like just Scotch tape is also going to work. Masking tape, any tape basically. You just want to make it so that that edge is not going to catch. And I don't trust washi tape any farther than, well, I was going to say any farther than I can throw it, but I could throw washi tape a fair long ways, so I just don't trust washi tape to adhere long term. So I'm going to put some of my Bearly Arts on it to make sure that it holds, and then just burnish it down a little bit and make sure that there is no glue on the page itself. Otherwise, when you glue it down, what will happen is that it'll catch, and you don't want that. So you can see here, when I lay this flat, now I have to be really cognizant of where this line is. If I put it like so, that actually might be okay, because then the outer edge of this page is a little tiny bit over where that envelope would have folded before, and it will give it just a tiny bit more weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the outer edge, which would be here. And I promise I am putting glue on that. I put, if I can like actually get a line of glue. I don't put a lot of glue on. I think I put less glue on than a lot of people do. And I'm just going to kind of hold my finger where the edge of that is, so that I don't get any further out. And then I'm going to come here and put glue here along this outer edge, much as you would if you were doing, if you can get straight, much as you would if you were doing like a policy envelope, where you glue one side and one side. And then also, I think along the bottom of this, just to make sure that I've got glue. I'm probably off frame and I apologize. Like so. Then I am going to move my glue bottle so I can line this up with that fold. Pull it down so it's flush with the bottom. Line that up, line that up. And I want to make sure that there's not any bunching on the spine part of that. And then lay it flat. So this is now part, I know it's backwards. I'm doing the back cover before I do the front cover. Call me weird that way. Now, I have a cover, but you'll notice things. They're not the same size, for one thing, and they're probably not 100% straight. So from here, you've got a spine, which you know is 100% straight. So line it up with one of the lines on your mat, like so. And then use your line like so. And trim off that little tiny bit of excess. And then when you've done this, not sure why. I think I need to move that down just a tiny bit more, because there's a little white from that pocket showing. So I'm going to take a tiny bit more off. There we go. Now it's perfect. I know that junk journaling, they say you don't have to be perfect, but that's somebody other than me. So now I have a completely straight front and back cover, and I can see that my pocket at the bottom is now open some because I trimmed off that little bit of excess. So I am going to come in here and add a line of bead, a beaded line of bead to glue that back shut. So it's a pocket again. All right, so my back cover is more stable. And then I can address what I'm doing here in a minute. And then the other thing I'm going to do, you can see that the what would be the size of your covers. The back cover is shorter than the front cover. So line that up like so. So you can see, like, it was under 1/4 inch longer on the one side than the other side. But now they're the same size. Even covers for the win. Now, my back cover is mostly stable. Couple things that I can do to help stabilize that is obviously cover the inside back. Can use it as a single piece coming this way. That would add extra dimension here. Can also take a little bead of washi tape like so and pull it like along that line like so. You're never going to see this washi tape. Although if I do that after I put my paper down, that could be an interesting thing. So maybe let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so 2 things that we've got going on here. My acetate is on the wrong side. That's one thing. Because like on the front cover, because the front cover is going to open like so, and I wanted the window at the bottom, which means that this is inside out. Again, I'm just going to pull this off. And do it really gently so that you don't rip that, your envelope, because that would be then you've compromised the depth of your envelope, and you don't want to do that. And then I can put paper on this side of the envelope. I will show you what I do when I'm collaging envelopes. And this is actually my starting point, is I always pull this acetate off. Partly because I have so much of it that I might as well use what I have. So I always pull the acetate windows out. And people are always saying, well, how do you... I don't know what to do in order to get... This is what I do. So... let's say I want to put, well, 100% I want this on my front. Like I want this to be the focal point, but I still want this window in there. So one of the things I want to do, if I put that at the top like so, and move it all the way over, that would mean that none of this is going to show up because that's part of the window. So, window, pencil. Oops. Not that that matters. This is how I collage around my envelopes. So, now we have a little doohickey to go around our envelope. And I am just going to go zinging around my little pencil line like so. And like so. And if it's not 100% perfect, I will keep this because I might use it somewhere else. Somehow else, a different else, and then that's going to go, oh, I like that. Now, do I use the whole thing? Like so. Now you notice I didn't do that at the back. Like I don't always pull out the windows and do this, but most frequently I do. And then any extra pencil marks like this can just be erased. Boom. Gone. And if you are concerned, like, oh my gosh, there's like a little bit of envelope showing through, you can come in and either add distress ink to the edge of your envelope or to the edge of your paper, or both. I'm not a huge fan of the definition that you get around a piece of paper when you add Distress ink. That's one of the reasons I don't always do it. Again, I am going to trim off a little tiny bit of this paper because I think it's not straight, because I never cut anything straight ever in my life. And I want it just a little narrower. See, look at me cutting not straight. Put that away because we determined we are not inking. Put that on my right side so I can find it next time I look for it. Put that up like that. All right. Yes. Oh, yeah, I like that. I very much like that. Very much like that. What even? Now, this one I don't want to bend. This one I do. And so bend. I bend before my glue is dry because I find I get more cracking if I bend after the glue is dry. So what I do is I bend while the glue is wet, smoosh it down, and then any adherence that needs to come in afterwards, I add more glue, like in edges like this, so that it completely glues down where it needs to. And here as well. I could leave that up in case I wanted to come underneath with collage. And that. And then it is going to need more glue here. Like so. And like so. And like so. Now the other thing that's happening is that the digital paper, not only is it giving more strength to my envelopes, it's squaring up what will be my cover. But I don't know that you actually need to worry about that too much. This little fiddly bit here I could leave up if I wanted to put this over top of whatever I collage. But in this case I don't, because I've got a little tiny bit of the base of that dress form, and I think it looks kind of funny just sitting like that. So that's going to be covered with some other collage bit. All right. So as a cover, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.25 inches wide, which will give a really generous journal cover. So what I could do is I could have chosen not to fold this in half, and I could have come out, and I may actually still do that. What I might do is come like to say here and there, and then reinforce this so it stays flat, so that I have like an inch on either side here and give a hard spine here. I think I might do that after all that work that I've done. Yeah. So then what I need is one more bit that goes along here. When in doubt, pull out your paper trimmer. I'm not going to fold that back because I had determined that I want to widen the spine. So I'm going to leave here where I folded that before and just allow that to reinforce the spine a bit. Trim this because it's not flush. Trim that because it's also hanging out all over everywhere. You could conceivably fold that like that and then trim like where your window is, but I'm just going to cut it off. And I'm keeping all these little fiddly bits because you don't throw away anything. And there's one of the next collaboration video that I'm doing for this junk journaling collaboration is how to use your scraps. So some of these scraps may come out to play at a later point in time. So you can kind of see, like, do you see the line of that envelope right here? I'm not that worried about it, but it does need to be reinforced so that it doesn't have any inclination that it's folding in. So at this point in time, if I was going to fold it like that, that would be the front cover. I could sew it around it at this point in time. It's not, it's obviously it's not finished. So what we have is a pocket here. So I need to do more collage work here and here to finish that off. Need to determine exactly, no, this does have to be the spine because of that window. Because if I go wider, that window is just going to interfere with everything, and then I should have just covered it. So that's something that you want to take into consideration if you're doing, using envelopes for a journal, is if they have multiple windows like this one does, how you want to do your spine and figure that out before you figure out what you're doing with this. You could then not make this part the pocket, but make this part the pocket, and move your spine so that your spine is wider. And if you've pulled out the acetate from this, that will work really well. For what I did, because of where I put the acetate, that's not going to fold now because the acetate is too wide. So do consider that when you're doing that. You can see how this, where the fold of this envelope is, has been reinforced enough that that hasn't got the inclination to bend. But once we put full collage on here, possibly a bit of washi tape along there, that's not going to bend. This needs more collaging on the inside, reinforcement with washi tape, and then whatever else you're going to do to decorate your cover. Like, I wouldn't consider this a finished cover. I'll put acetate under the window for this. I might, because I've got acetate here, what I think I'll do is I'll put something this way, like so, not the full depth of that, maybe to about here, and make a side tuck pocket off the cover coming in and out this way, but I have to figure that out yet. And then I might sew around it because it's a sewing journal, and add some fancy stitching. And then I think probably cover the inside part fully with fabric once I've figured out exactly how it's going to go. But that gives you an idea of how you could make a journal cover using 3 what are legal size envelopes in Canada. I don't know what they would be called if you were in the UK, Europe, somewhere other than North America, where that 8.5 by, like, they're 11 inches this way, and they're, I think, 4.5 inches tall. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches tall, about 4.25 inches tall. So you take a legal size piece of paper and fold it in 3 and then stick it in your envelope. That's why they're this size. But that's another idea of what you can do with just 3 junk mail envelopes. And until next time, have a lovely crafty day. Bye.